Hello, and welcome to another segment of the Digital Indigenous Storytelling Project. Throughout this series, we'll be interviewing Indigenous individuals who live in Missouri and have them share a story about themselves and their culture. My name is Eric Pinto. I'm Choctaw of Mississippi, Antonia of New Mexico, and a project coordinator for the Catherine M. Booter Center for American Indian Studies at Washington University in St. Louis. In this segment, I'll be narrating from a written interview conducted with Denise Montgomery. I will display the interview on your screen for your viewing, and I will read aloud through the letter that asks Denise about her life and culture. I would like to thank Denise for taking time out to share her life and culture with us all. And as a reminder, please check out the other interviews with other Indigenous individuals who live in Missouri. Thank you and enjoy. Here is the written interview I had with Denise Montgomery. I'll read the question off, followed by her response. Can you give an introduction about yourself? What's your tribal affiliation? What's your occupation? And how long you've lived in St. Louis? I am enrolled with the Sac and Fox of the Mississippi and Iowa, the Squawky Nation, and part Ho-Chunk. My mom is enrolled with the Ho-Chunk Nation in Wisconsin. I am happily retired as of April 2018. I've lived in the St. Louis area since I was about age 1. We moved to Defiance when I was about 4 and grew up there. Can you share more about your family and your parents? After my first marriage of 2 bad years, I did get a son out of it. I met my current husband, who's one of my high school classmates 5 years after graduation, but we didn't know each other in school. We have been together since and have been married 39 years. I have a son and a daughter and 8 wonderful grandkids. Oh my God, why do I keep fucking up? Here's the written interview I had with Denise Montgomery. I'll read off the question I asked her, and then I'll follow that with her response. Can you give an introduction about yourself? What's your tribal affiliation? What's your occupation? And how long you've lived in St. Louis? I am enrolled with the Sac and Fox of the Mississippi and Iowa, the Squawky Nation, and part Ho-Chunk. My mom is enrolled with the Ho-Chunk Nation in Wisconsin. I am happily retired as of April 2018. I've lived in the St. Louis area since I was about age 1. We moved to Defiance when I was about 4 and grew up there. Can you share more about your family and your parents? After my first marriage of 2 bad years, I did get a son out of it. I met my current husband, who was one of my high school classmates 5 years after graduation, but we didn't know each other in school. We have been together since and have been married 39 years. I have a son and daughter and 8 wonderful grandkids. My parents are both from Tama, Iowa. My mom was born in Wisconsin. They came to St. Louis on the job relocation program, and my dad got a job at McDonnell Douglas. How did your tribe's culture fit into your family's life? My parents decided not to teach us Meskwaki, but they spoke it to each other, and we went back at least once a year, most years, to the annual powwow and to visit relatives. My mom taught me how to bead and sew, but that was pretty much all, culture-wise. And I remember having the painting Custer's Last Stand hanging in our home. Would your family travel back to their home community, and what was your experience there versus St. Louis? When we would go to Tama, it was great to be around so many relatives. We had no relatives in Missouri that I was aware of. Could you describe a little more about the Meskwaki settlement and what differentiates it from reservations? The settlement is owned by the tribe because they bought land in the area over the years. I believe a reservation is not purchased by the tribe, but I could be wrong about this. They are getting back to the culture, such as teaching the language in school and offering classes for adults. They have classes to make moccasins, sewing 2-piece women's outfits, cattail mat weaving class, and have an organic farm and garden growing vegetables and beans, etc. They provide some for free to the seniors, but the virus has stopped classes. Can you describe what it was like for you being an Indigenous woman growing up in St. Louis? For the most part, I feel like I was trying to fit in, but sometimes felt like a fifth wheel. Growing up, some of my friends were envious of my skin and hair. Finally, as an adult, I'm comfortable in my skin. What can you tell us about other Indigenous people living in St. Louis and throughout Missouri? I'm not sure about other Indigenous people in our area, but the few I do know keep in touch by phone or Facebook. Was there a sense of community with other Indigenous people? I think there was a sense of community years ago when we would get together with other Native families, and when there used to be more powwows in the St. Louis area. Before COVID, there were get togethers now and then at people's homes. Were there local events such as powwows that help connect Indigenous people? There used to be more powwows. I believe the only one now is at WashU, and there was an art show twice a year at Cahokia Mounts before COVID. How has this changed, if at all, over the years? There are much less, and then, of course, COVID, no gatherings. How have you stayed connected with your family and culture? I have stayed connected with relatives mostly through Facebook. A lot of my relatives have passed. My mom was the oldest of 7, and she's the only one left. Can you describe your experiences with Native arts and crafts? My experience with arts and crafts has been learning beading and sewing from my mom. What powwows or other events have you attended that has connected you with other Indigenous people? The Tama, Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and WashU powwows were the only ones we were going to until they got canceled. The first time I went to the Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque, I was amazed to see that many people like me. It was a great experience. And that concludes her interview. Please check out our other interviews with other Indigenous people and have a good day. Bye.